On the eve of the 89th legislative special session, a relatively small group of protesters gathered in Austin earlier outside of the governor's mansion and on the Capitol grounds. So most in attendance there say they are against the session's timing as families are still reeling from the catastrophic floods in central Texas. Governor Greg Abbott called for a special session earlier this month prior to the disaster. Now, new flood warning systems are expected to become part of the dialogue. The Texas Legislature convenes every 2 years. A regular session lasts 140 days, and that was just adjourned on June 2nd. But Governor Abbott thought there was still work to be done on a variety of issues, ranging from redrawing some of the congressional district lines to regulating the sale of hemp-derived products. 30 days is all they have to accomplish their business in a special session. However, if everything doesn't get done, the governor does have the authority to call another. Everyone is being asked, meantime, to wear green tomorrow in honor of flood victims. Fox 4's Amelia Jones is live tonight with what we can expect. A lot of work ahead, Amelia.
That's right, Casey, and as you've been saying, not a lot of time to do it. This legislative special session will begin tomorrow at noon. Governor Greg Abbott released an agenda with 18 items he'd like lawmakers to discuss over the next 30 days, and it includes some of those big topics, like you mentioned, regarding flood warning systems and natural disaster preparation and recovery, hemp-derived product regulation, but it also includes topics like the STAR test, human trafficking, and property taxes. Lawmakers will report to Austin for the start of a special session on Monday. Governor Greg Abbott released a jam-packed agenda. A top priority is the historic flooding in central Texas. Lawmakers are set to discuss flood warning systems, flood emergency communications, relief funding, and natural disaster preparation and recovery.
And I really think that's something that's going to be a rallying point for both sides of the aisle. The other items, probably not so much. I think those are going to be contentious.
Angela Downs is an assistant director at the University of North Texas Dallas College of Law. She believes the other agenda items, like THC regulation, could spark heated debate. Governor Abbott vetoed the bill passed in the regular session that would have essentially banned the sale of all THC products, which was a priority of Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick. During the special session, the governor wants a more nuanced ban because THC products are popular with veterans and other groups. Abbott wants to focus on keeping THC products away from kids.
Surely, I don't know how this will go, but if it's any indication from the regular session, I think it's going to be very, very heated.
Another hot-button issue on the 18-item agenda is redistricting. Governor Abbott says, according to a letter from the Department of Justice, there are constitutionality issues with the current maps.
In the administration's view, the existing Texas map constitutes an unconstitutional racial gerrymander, meaning that the legislators who drew the existing map, in the view of the administration, improperly relied on race as a criterion in drawing that map.
David Fromkin is an expert in election law from the University of Houston. He says lawmakers who created the maps have denied any racial gerrymandering. President Trump told reporters on Tuesday he wants to pick up 5 more Republican seats from the state of Texas.
If Republicans had simply said, we have a political objective, then they would be fine under existing gerrymandering law. On the other hand, because they've taken the position that they are correcting a racial problem with the existing map, they have opened the door to plaintiffs coming along and suing them on the grounds that they are the ones who have entered into this process with a racial objective in mind.
Fromkin says he'll be watching to see how incumbent Republican lawmakers react to this discussion.
Their seats could be threatened. If there's a wave election, they may stand to lose their seats under the new plan. And so I think that a lot of the stakeholders under the current map have good reason to resist the change on both sides of the aisle. So that will be interesting to watch.
It's a lot to tackle in 30 days.
So there's so many things to look at, STAR test, human trafficking, property taxes, so many items. I don't know that the legislature will be able to get through all of them. And the governor might decide that there needs to be an additional special session.
Starting tomorrow, we'll see how quickly lawmakers can make it through that 18-item agenda. Casey, as you mentioned, lawmakers are encouraged to wear green in honor of the flood victims. For now, back to you.
Yeah, it is going to be a busy couple of weeks, and we are on top of it all. Fox 4's Amelia Jones reporting live for us tonight. Amelia, thanks so much.
Good morning, Paige. As you guys mentioned, the new total that we are now getting for the number of people still listed as missing from the July 4th flood represents a dramatic drop from the previous total that was widely circulated. The sheriff's office in Kerr County now says there are only 3 victims who are still missing. That's down from nearly 160 people who were first reported as unaccounted for. The sheriff says in the flood's immediate aftermath, there were hundreds of reports filed for missing people. Crews took many days to track down each person's whereabouts and confirm that they were, in fact, accounted for. The latest numbers show 107 people were killed by floodwaters in Kerr County alone. Search efforts are still in full force to bring closure to those 3 families. Now, behind me this morning, as we come back out live here at the Fort Worth Fire Department headquarters, donated supplies are being loaded up. From here, they will be shipped to Central Texas to help those impacted by the devastating floods. These donated items come from all over the city of Fort Worth and other communities, and they are being consolidated here at Fire Department headquarters to create a central location to make the shipping process as efficient as possible. The truck, this one and maybe a couple of others, will be heading to Hill Country Daily Bread Ministries in Boerne, Texas. That's about 35 miles southwest of Kerrville. Members helping with that nonprofit will make sure that these donated items end up where they are needed most. Reporting live in Fort Worth, Dan Godwin on Good Day.
Many people are reacting after the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, has threatened Obama officials with a criminal referral over the 2016 election. Gabbard claims the Obama administration tried to show that Trump's election win was due to Russian interference. Fox's Madeline Rivera with the latest.
DNI Tulsi Gabbard says she believes there is enough evidence for prosecutions and indictments, though she did not mention specific officials. Here's what she tells Maria Bartiromo about the next step in this investigation.
Attorney General Pam Bondi, FBI Director Kash Patel, it is their responsibility to gather all of the evidence, both that we have released, the facts that have already been known previously, the information that will continue to come out, and move forward with this prosecution and these indictments.
To rehash, this is what Gabbard is alleging. She says these declassified documents show in the days leading up to November 2016, intelligence officials consistently stated that Russia is probably not trying, nor have the capability to influence the election by using cyber means. Things change after the election, she says. She cites a gathering among Obama intelligence officials on December 9th, 2016 as a turning point. After that meeting, former DNI James Clapper's executive assistant sent an email to intelligence leaders tasking them to create a new assessment about the tools Moscow used to influence the 2016 election, supposedly per former President Obama's request. But Democrats say Gabbard is conflating hacking and influencing. They say intelligence, including a bipartisan 2020 Senate Intelligence Committee report, have reaffirmed Russia had a favorite in its influence operations, President Trump. One former Obama official says Gabbard is trying to distract.
Tulsi Gabbard's been in the doghouse with Trump for a while now. This is her trying to get out of it. But everything she says about what we did is just false. It's just not true.
Nevertheless, Gabbard says they'll be releasing more information next week. In Washington, Mather Rivera, Fox News.
Well, this is the start of another busy week ahead for the president, a packed schedule as he is now 1/8 of his way through his second term.
It's 6 months delivering on the agenda.
The president out with a splashy new video on social media to mark the 6-month point in his presidency. Administration officials say they are keeping their foot on the gas.
The next 2 weeks are going to be weeks for the record books. President Trump is going to deliver for the American people.
That was a reference to new trade deals, but it comes on the heels of a number of hard-fought wins on Capitol Hill. There was the massive so-called Big Beautiful Bill, as well as a package of spending cuts passed just last week. Immigration enforcement remains a signature issue, even as some polls show growing unease with deportations. And despite inflation fears, the president points to a strong economy. But there are concerns, with anger stirring in his base over the failure to release more information about the Jeffrey Epstein sex trafficking case and a possible client list.
Once you go down a conspiracy road, whether you turn right or you turn left on conspiracy road, you get caught in a maze that's impossible to escape from. That's why there are still people who think that Elvis is alive. And this is actually obviously much more serious than that.
And the president also picking new fights, saying now that the Washington Commanders should change their name back to the Redskins, adding to the skepticism he voiced earlier this month.
Well, you want me to make a controversial statement? I would. I wouldn't have changed the name.
And the president posted that if the name change doesn't happen, he'll consider trying to nix Washington's bid for a new stadium.
Police say it took 50 firefighters more than an hour to get that fire under control. Police believe the fire was intentional. 44-year-old Richard Tillman was arrested on suspicion of arson. He was also identified as the driver of that vehicle. Police received reports that Tillman was live streaming when he crashed into the post office. There was this pile of belongings in front of the building. Among them was a box containing this black and white photo of Pat Tillman in his uniform. Pat left football to join the U.S. Army. He was killed by friendly fire in Afghanistan.